Hi. Just give me a couple of seconds to get organized. Meditation's coming. Oh, bit of light on the subject. Okay, that's one thing. Now, if you're watching on Instagram and you want to keep, you want to like do the meditations more regularly, then it might be better to go on YouTube, because I'm pretty sure that YouTube will send you a notification when I go live, whereas Instagram won't. Facebook maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, I'm going to have to turn off and turn on again very briefly just to break the video. Saves me editing it afterwards. So, how are you? How's the day going? Going well, I hope. It's fine if it's not going well, you know. Not every day goes well, but I hope it's going well. I hope you're having a good day. We're going to do a bit of meditation now. This isn't a class, it's just a chance to meditate together. These meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. I meditate during the day anyway, and I just, over a year ago, started doing these. And now I'm multi-streaming on free platforms. Yeah, if you're curious about further emergence, I'll explain what it is later, after we finish the meditation. But for now, if you're used to meditation, if you're experienced, that's brilliant. Can you hang on while I explain what I do, just for the benefit of people who are new to meditation? There's lots of different styles of meditation. This is just what I do. For me, it starts with why I would meditate. I am trying to connect to a part of me that I connect to every night when I go to sleep. Not the dreaming bit, the bit after dreaming, so I'm dreaming and then I drop out the bottom of dreaming into deep dreamless sleep, where I have no thoughts, no memories, no feelings or emotions. I have no personality, don't really have a body, don't have a bed, bedroom, nothing. Don't even have me. I sort of cease to exist, don't I? Yeah, I'm certainly in the way that I normally register my existence. Which, when you add all that up, that sounds awful, doesn't it? That sounds like death. Yet, I love going to sleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I feel refreshed. So wherever I go, in that deep dreamless place, wherever that is, some part of me knows that it's a good place, and that's the place I want to go to when I meditate. I just want to do it consciously. So straight away, if you're new to meditation, I'd encourage you not to try this lying down, because chances are you'll fall asleep, and if you don't fall asleep, you'll battle sleep, both of which are very distracting halfway from meditation. So yeah, I'd encourage you to sit up. You don't have to sit in a lotus position or anything like that. You can just sit in a chair. I'm just sitting in a chair. Just make sure the chair is not a big comfortable armchair that you might fall asleep in, or you're just into that side of things again. As I said, there's no thoughts in this place. So it's like my mind can't get there. It can think about it conceptually, but it can't actually get there. So I have to figure out a way of working with my mind. So what I do is I just make an arrangement with my mind where I say, hey, could you just not think for the next 15 minutes, because we want to meditate. And at this stage my mind is on board for it. It's like, yeah, sure, okay, yeah, let's do that, because it knows the drill. If you're new to meditation, your mind will be on board as well, because it's a new thing and minds like new things. The only time that your mind can start to get a bit resistant is if you're trying to meditate regularly. And if that's an issue for you, I can talk about that at the end. But for now, we'll just take it that your mind is on board. So my mind is on board, great. Next thing, stop thinking. Not that hard. It's not that hard to stop. It's the difficulties in maintaining it, but it's not that hard to stop. Because regardless of what I'm thinking about, which would be the content of my thoughts, the structure of my thoughts is always the same. It's always pictures and sound. So if I turn off the pictures and I turn off the sound, that's it. I'm not thinking. And as soon as I do that, I'm into the practice of meditation. Now, the practice of meditation runs parallel to the intention of my meditation. So the intention of my meditation is, as I said, to go to this deep, still, profound, calm, Zen-like. I'm just trying to think of all the other words that I use to describe meditation. To go to that place. The practice of meditation starts as soon as I stop thinking. And it pretty much goes, I turn off the pictures, I turn off the sound, so I bring myself to not thinking. Then some time passes and I discover I'm thinking again. I go, oh, thinking again. I turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes and I discover I'm thinking again. Oh, thinking again. Turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Then some more time passes, I discover I'm thinking again. Oh, thinking again, and so on. It's pretty simple. Every time you discover that you're thinking, bring yourself back to not thinking. And it's important to know that. It's important to know that thinking can happen in meditation. And because it's easy to get the misconception that in order to meditate properly, that you shouldn't be thinking at all, which isn't the case. These two things, the intention and the practice, they go together and they do a sort of a dance. You know, sometimes you'll be very deep and still and profound and beautiful, and it's great. And then other times you'll be discovering that you're thinking. And it's easy to sort of think, well, this is the good one, and this is the, you know, where I'm failing. That's not the case either. Both are powerful in their own way. It's obviously powerful when you're in that deep, still, profound place. It's beautiful. It's also powerful, equally powerful, when you discover that you're thinking. Because if you are like me, you'll sort of be thinking about everything to do with you, you know, like, what did I do that for? What am I going to do about that thing? Why did I say that? What did that person say that to me? You know, that sort of thing. So let's say I'm in the middle of meditation and I'm having one of those thoughts, and then I go, oh, thinking, turn off the pictures, turn off the sound, bring myself back to not thinking. Indirectly, what I'm saying to myself is, or what I'm demonstrating to myself is, you know that thought that you just had, you know, the one that you thought was you and that you were it? Well, you just made it disappear. You just made, poof, gone. So you're obviously not that thought because you're still here. In fact, you're not any of your thoughts. You're something else. That's very powerful and profound. And then the fact that you do that repeatedly is very powerful as well. So don't allow your mind to get involved in, you know, thinking about itself, thinking, judging you, going, oh, you're not doing this very well. You're not very good at meditation. Don't let any of that in, because there's no right amount of times that you should be bringing yourself back from thinking. And if you're doing it a bit too, you know, more than this idea, then you're doing it wrong. No, there's no right amount of times. You could meditate because it changes. I was going to say it changes. It changes from day to day and hour to hour. So you could meditate in the morning and you might not have to bring yourself back from thinking that much. And then you could meditate in the afternoon and you might have to bring yourself back loads of times. One is not better than the other. It doesn't work like that. Okay. The main thing is, the only thing is, the golden rule. I don't know why I find it funny whenever I say that, but I do. The golden rule is every time you discover that you're thinking, bring yourself back to not thinking. If you do that, you're doing great. Okay? It doesn't matter how many times. Now, as that is all going on, as I'm doing all of that, I'm also becoming a little bit more conscious of my body and tension in my body in particular. So what I do is I scan my body from my head down to my feet and back up again very slowly, very gently. Anywhere I find tension, I let it go. And I use my out breath to let it go. Because it's natural to just breathe it away. It feels nice. But then it's also a good way of, using my breath is also a good way of bringing a little bit more awareness to breathing. Because it's quite easy to actually hold your breath unconsciously during meditation, or to, you know, stop breathing altogether. So using my breath to let go of tension, it's a good way of avoiding that. And then the other thing I spend a little bit, or give a little bit more attention to, is as I'm scanning my body up and down, is any structures in my body that go across my body. Mostly, like, my body runs longitudinally, head to toe. Anywhere that goes across acts a little bit like a log going across a stream. It just picks up the leaves and the twigs and the branches, anything that's coming down the stream. Except in my body, it's tension. So I spend a little bit more time on my eyes. They're a transverse sight. My jaw, my tongue, the base of my neck, my shoulder girdle, all my joints are transverse sight. So my shoulders, my elbows, my wrists, my fingers, my heart area is a transverse sight, my respiratory diaphragm, all my intestines, my pelvic floor, my hips, my knees, my ankles and my toes. Having a nice quiet room when you're starting off in meditation is really helpful, because one of the things that triggers thoughts is noise. And as soon as you close your eyes to meditate, your hearing like amplifies. So having a quiet room where you're not going to be disturbed, it just helps you. It just helps you and your mind have less things to think about. And then the other thing I do to help my mind have less things to think about is I set a timer for how long I'm going to meditate for. So I'm going to set mine for 15 minutes, but I'd encourage you to set yours for shorter. Set it for like 5 minutes and then repeat that 3 times, because 15 minutes is a long time if you're not used to it. And if you're going to go for the 15 minutes, do set your own timer. Don't rely on me, because sometimes the internet drops and I don't want to leave you hanging. So set your own timer. Okay, so timer started. Great, off we go then into the mystery. Okay, so if you feel like you've gone very deeply inside, then take a bit of time to come back from there before you open your eyes. Or if you feel like you can hold the inner space and the outer space, then just open your eyes. And if when you do that you feel like you lose contact with the inner space, it's fine. You can just close your eyes again, reconnect with it, open your eyes again. No, lost it again, close your eyes again. You know, you can use your eyes like a valve to balance the inner space and the outer space. So as I said at the beginning, these meditations are part of the further emergence work I do. Further emergence is to do with growth, really. Inner growth, growth in consciousness. You could call it spiritual growth, growth in awareness, you know, all that kind of growth. Because your body stops growing when you become an adult, but you keep growing on the inside. That doesn't stop. It keeps going for the rest of your life. And you only have to look back, 5-10 years and think about who you were then. And the growth is obvious. And just like when you were a kid, you might have gone through periods of accelerated growth. They're called growth spurts. You keep having growth spurts on the inside as well. That happens on the inside. You go through growth spurts, and that keeps going for the rest of your life as well. And when you were a kid, you might have gone through a growth spurt and had some growth pains, and you might have went to your parents and got some growth pains. It's not like your parents would have rushed you to the hospital or even to the doctor. They would have just said, oh, they're just growing pains, they'll pass. It's much harder as an adult, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70-year-old adults to know that it's just natural, these growing pains you might be feeling on the inside. There's a huge space to feel like there's something wrong with you. It's not natural, because it can happen in all sorts of different ways for different people. It's a bit like, you don't see it much now, but when I was a kid and you'd see, one of the kids on the street who'd gone through a growth spurt, and there'd be this gap, but the bottom of their trousers and their feet, where they've obviously shot up and their clothes have just got too small for them and they haven't been bought new clothes yet. It can feel like that when you go through an inner growth spurt. You can feel like your life is different. Let's say you feel displaced from your life or alienated from your life. You don't recognize yourself in it. I remember, because I've gone through further emergence many times myself, and I helped a lot of people through it as well. And I remember one woman telling me, she said, it's a shocking thing, John, to wake up one morning and discover you have 5 kids. Which I think is a great further emergence kind of statement. It can feel like that. Overnight, you can just go through a big growth shift, almost overnight, and everything just looks different, and it's very disorienting, and you don't seem to feel like anybody gets you, and particularly if nobody around you has gone through a similar kind of thing. And even if they are, it can be so personal for them, you can still feel like nobody gets you. So that's the focus of further emergence, is on those inner growth spurts. And these meditations are part of what I do to help that, support people with that. Because number one, a lot's been happening in the last year, if you haven't noticed. And as a consequence of that, there's a lot of growth going on. That was really the impetus to start doing these meditations, was just a bit of time for pause and a bit of time to look inside, because they're inner growth spurts, so the more familiar you are with your inner landscape, the easier it's going to be, right? So then the other thing I do is we have a Zoom group, a further emergence Zoom group that happens every week, Fridays, 8 p.m. Irish time. You're very welcome to come. And what they are is just a chance to we meditate a little bit more deeply. There's kind of questions and answers and reflection, so there's that. Then there's also a chance to see there's other people. Oh, I'm not the only one. There are other people going through this. So there's that. That helps a lot as well. And if they sound interesting, the videos from them, whatever platform you're looking at this on, if you look back through the feed, you'll see the videos from other Zoom groups to give you an idea of what it's like. Or if you're a podcast person, the audio from the Zoom group goes to make up the Further Emergence podcast. I work with people one-to-one as well. I do that twice a week. I don't see a huge amount of people. I can't see a huge amount of people, But I do work with people one-to-one as well, and that's there's more talking. It's more tailored, it's more specific, because as I say, it's very different for each person. So that's very specific, to whatever you're going through, kind of thing. And then I also do behind the scenes energetic work, so that's where you lie down and I work on your system energetically, and I use my craniosacral skills for that. And that helps. It all helps with the process. And then I've written books. I've written 4 books all around the topic of further emergence, just from different angles, So there's loads there. So if you're still with me, you're still listening, and you've watched all the way to the end of the video, then chances are something inside you is going, yeah, this resonates with me. Okay, so I would let that part of you that's saying that, just let that'll inform you what to do next. Whether that's just keep doing the meditations with me, or come to a Zoom group, or watch the video, or listen to the podcast, or read a book, or get in touch for some one-to-one work. That part of you will know. That part of you, it'll know what to do. Okay, so thanks very much for meditating with me, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more meditation.